For this teaching, you will need a standard Bible of your choice. We'll be using the KJV. You will also need to go to www.pseudepigrapha.com for the Apocrypha. For those who do not know, the Apocrypha is the hidden books of the scriptures, those that did not make it into the standard 66 books that you find in the standard KJV. You will also need the 12-month Gregorian calendar. That's the regular calendar. And please note that that says 2023, but of course we're now in 2024. You can get a Gregorian calendar from places like the Dollar Tree, or you can print it online. The app that we'll be using is called Luna Soul Cal, and that's for Android phones. If you're using an iPhone, you can get my moon phase lunar calendar. And then last but not least, you'll need www.sunrisesunset.com, which has calendars for all geographic locations around the world. And please note that the Luna Soul Cal app costs $3.99 on iPhones, and that was at the time of this publication, so the price may have changed. My moon phase is free, so it will work, but if you want to be the exact same and get the exact same results, we ask that we stay on one accord and try our best to use the same app. So please note that 3 calendars are combined to make the one calendar we follow from year to year. The first calendar is the solar calendar, the sun calendar. The second is the lunar, which represents the moon. And the third is the Gregorian calendar, which was created by man and is the one that is followed universally. The solar calendar, or the sun calendar, is fixed with 360 days and 4 intercalary days, equaling 364 days. This never changes. Please note the following. When we were told that a year is 365 days and 366 days if it's a leap year, guess what? That, my friend, was a lie. Days and times were changed to confuse us. This was man's doing. Yahweh doesn't make mistakes. And now it's time for a little exercise. You'll need the pseudepigrapha.com to do this. What you should do is open it to the First Enoch Ethiopic Apocalypse of Enoch link. Once you're there, hold down the Control key, hit F, and type intercal. That's INTERCAL. You should get 4 results. Enoch, the 75th chapter, explains how the days of the sun are exact and cannot change. The sun, moon, and stars are used to give us the seasons. And if we know the seasons, we can calculate Yahweh's feast days. That's in Genesis 1:14. So pause this screen and go do that exercise and come back when you're done. Hopefully you found that 75th chapter to be very insightful. And here's something else. In Jubilees, chapter 6, verses 30 through 38, and you can find that in the pseudepigrapha listing as well, it tells us how there is no such thing as a leap year, and that the solar year, that is the calendar based on the sun, is always, forever, never changing, and it is 360 days, plus the 4 intercalary days, which equals 364 days. Hit pause now and go read it for yourself. Hurry back so that we can continue. It's about to get fun. So what are the intercalary days? And why is this important when learning how to calculate the feast days? The intercalary days are the 4 days that divide the seasons. Spring, which is also called the vernal equinox, summer, which is a solstice, fall, which is the autumnal equinox, and winter, which is also a solstice. We are to keep Yahweh's feast days in their seasons. Leviticus 23:4 reads, "These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons." So, since we know the intercalary days divide the seasons, we just need to know which intercalary day starts a new year. Enoch, the 82nd chapter, verses 15 and 16 tell us that at the beginning of the year, certain agricultural things take place. It reads, "In the beginning of the year, Melchiel rises first and rules, who is named Tammany, and son, and all the days of his dominion, whilst he bears rule, are 91 days." Verse 16, "And these are the signs of those days, which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms. And all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field, but the trees of the winter season become withered." Deuteronomy 16:1 tells us to recognize a certain month as the time to keep Pesach, or in English, Passover. It reads, "Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night." Exodus 12:2 tells us, "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months," or the beginning of the year. "It shall be the first month of the year to you." Jubilees 49:1 reads, "Remember the commandment which Yahweh commanded thee concerning the Passover, that thou shouldest celebrate it in its season, on the 14th of the first month, Abib." Jubilees is another Apocrypha book, and you can find it in the pseudepigrapha.com listing. So the point that we are really making is that Abib is the first month of the year, and the first month of the year happens in the spring. The first day of the spring is calculated by the spring equinox. This is when there is equal day and equal night. Equinox, approximately 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime. Now it's time to use those apps that were mentioned at the beginning. Whether you have an Android or an iPhone, get the app that helps you to calculate the days. We are about to find out when is the spring equinox. Many, if not all of us, have been told that the spring equinox is always between March 19th and the 21st every year. Wrong. If we use those dates, it is highly probable that we will mess up our count for Yahweh's feast days, just like his word prophesied we would in Jubilees 6:37. And you know what? That actually happened about a year or so ago. It might even happen this year. Different groups were off by a whole month because of this lie. Now, a day is understandable, but a whole month? Yikes! because when this happens, the feast days are thrown off and not celebrated in their right seasons. Think about it this way. You should never be celebrating the fall feast in the summertime. If this happens, your rendering is off and you need to recalculate the days. So, when is the spring equinox? Using the app of your choice, whether it be Android or iPhone, go to March 17th of this year and look at the length of days. What do you see? You should see that on March 17th, the day or daylight is approximately 12 hours and 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Please note that your daytime may change slightly based on where you are in the world. But for where we are in the northern hemisphere, March 17th is a safe reference point to unify all locations. The time when there is equal day and equal night marks the spring equinox. So we're going with March 17th, and that marks the spring equinox, which means this is the beginning of spring. Now it is time for the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar uses the moon to give us the beginning of each month. The solar calendar helps us establish the beginning of our year, and the lunar calendar helps us figure out when our first month, which remember is called Abib, begins. Okay, so let this sink in. This is very important. The first new moon after the spring equinox is the first day of the new year. It is the first day of Abib. Regardless of what day it falls on, we're going by the moon cycle. So it will never always be the same day every year on a Gregorian calendar. Time for another exercise. This time you need to go to the website www.sunrisesunset.com. Once you're there, choose USA and then put in your city and state or zip code and hit search. Choose other month and put in March 2024. Check the boxes for moon phases and then select Make Calendar. Pause the screen and go do that and come back. A wonderful, easy to read calendar will appear, and it includes the sunset times, so you will know when sundown is for your area as well. It's a nice tool to use, especially when you want to know when the Shabbats begin at sunset. And again, the calendar that you're looking at from the website is the Gregorian calendar. It is the most commonly used calendar around the world. From this calendar, we keep our dates and times and special occasions like our Earth days. That's what I like to call them, but it would be your birthday. So if you're looking at that Gregorian calendar and you're looking at March, okay, and you see where March 17th is, you know that that is the beginning of the solar year. So then now you look for the first new moon after that solar year, and it falls on April 9th. Now we're going to see who's really paying attention. Notice we did not say that April 8th was the new moon. That is because we go by the sliver and not the empty moon. You'll find on a lot of calendars that April 8th is the new moon, but that is when the moon is empty. It is at the end of its cycle, and this will be proven shortly. But there's a fun fact that occurs April 8th this year. This is also a total solar eclipse occurring on this day. That's pretty cool, but I digress. Understand this: the empty moon, when you can't see it at all because no light is shining on it, is not the new moon. The moon is at the end of her cycle and void or missing light. She becomes new when light hits her. You cannot claim something is new until you can actually see it. And don't take our word for it. Go read it for yourself. The proof is in 1st Enoch, the 78th chapter, verses 12 through 14. And they read, "And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her." This is the sliver, the little bit of light that you see the day after the Gregorian calendars say it's the new moon. Verse 13, she becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side whence the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light, meaning you cannot see her. April 9th, 2024 is Shana Tova, or Happy New Year. So now we know when the new year is. So now we're going to start counting out the feasts using Leviticus 23 as our reference. You put a 1 in the square for April 1st. You do this on that Gregorian calendar that you have. Following Leviticus 23 and 5, let's get counting. Put a 2 on April 10th, a 3 on April 11th, and so on until you get to 14. You should end up on April 22nd. At sundown, on this date, we celebrate Yhwh'S Passover, or Pesach. Let's keep going because we're on a roll. April 23rd is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. April 24th is First Fruits, and this is where you start the count towards Shavuot, or Pentecost, also called Feast of Harvest. Note, Deuteronomy 16 and 9 reads, 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin the number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. April 22nd is a holy convocation. There's no work, no labor because it's Pesach. April 23rd is a holy convocation. No work, no labor because it's the first night of unleavened bread. April 24th is the first day you can work or put the sickle to the corn. This is where you start counting 7 weeks, 49 days, and one more day to Shavuot, or Pentecost, also known as the Feast of Weeks, and Pentecost means 50. So remember, because we're counting the feast days now, April 24th is day 1, and then you count the 49 days, or 7 weeks, and then the next day is Pentecost. And this is a fun fact about Pentecost. It is always in the 3rd month on the 6th day. Always. And this can be found in various places, but it's really cool that Yasher 82 and 6 tells us something about this time. So again, remember, June 12th, 2024 is Shavuot, or Pentecost, or Feast of Harvest, whichever one you like to use. And note that it is also the 6th day of the 3rd month. And now it gets pretty easy because the next 3 months are pretty much the summer months, And that's when crops are growing and you're doing things. So there are no major feast days. You do have your new moons that come in for each month. But other than that, it's just pretty smooth. You're just tilling the land and taking care of business. And then you come to the biggest feast month for Yisrael. The 7th month starts on October 3rd, 2024. This is Chag Shofar, Feast of Trumpets. From there you count 10 days and you are at Yom Kippur. Count 5 more days from there, or the 15th day of the 7th month, and you're at the first night of the Feast of Tabernacles, or Sukkot. And those are the feasts outlined in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. But we're not necessarily done. For those who celebrate Hanukkah, Purim, Nicanor's destruction, and Solomon's feast, mark your calendars accordingly. Note, BEYT'EL recognizes all of these civil feast days. They are not Yhwh'S feast days. They have no holy convocations. They are civil feasts where Yisrael wrote to remember them forever. For those interested in learning more about these other feast days, pause the screen and go check out these scriptures. They'll give you all the insight you need. And that's it. If you have any questions, don't you dare hesitate to ask. We hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and all praises to the Most High Yahweh for showing us a fun and easy way to share this knowledge with his chosen people. Shalom, and as some would say, Shalom. Thanks for listening. This has been a BEYT'EL production.